Broken Hill quickly earned the nickname of Silver City, and in turn bestowed it upon its own train, the Silver City Comet. Today, when it's seen next to the larger trains like the Indian Pacific and the Alice, which come through the same station, its significance is a little lost. But since 1937 until early 1985, it ran from Broken Hill to Parkes, 700 kilometres to the east in New South Wales. Now it goes a step further to Orange, where it connects with the XPT. It's a 12-hour-long commuter run with vague parallels to the going-nowhere golflander of the Normanton to Croydon line in far north Queensland. It may appear a little weary now as it quietly defers to the larger train and leaves the Broken Hill station on its 3 times a week service. But there was a time when it was fated as a new trend in trains. It was launched onto the market with the grand claim to fame of being Australia's first air-conditioned train. This is the same configuration which makes up the Silver City Comet today. Power van, passenger and dining cars, and parcel van. It doesn't set trends anymore, but this lightweight diesel mechanical rail car still has a respectable turn of speed. It was the fastest train in Australia on tracks laid directly onto the ground, when it was often clocked, unofficially, at around 160 kilometres an hour.
No speedo or anything on her. Just running by here, running by the taco up here. She's an old lady, you know.
You treat her like an old lady?
Oh, no, she's got to do a job. She does it. You want to go pick up time, she'll do it. She's going well for age.
In 2 years, the Comet will be 50, but it still manages 3 return trips a week.
What about the noise? Does that put you off a bit?
Yeah, well, when you get home, you're finding out you're still singing out like I am now to your wife.
One of the things you notice on the rails around Australia is the number of small trains which seem to have been forgotten. The Silver City Comet falls into that category, even though it runs on the main line across Australia. So what sort of people travel on the Comet? Well, there's no doubt it's a special experience for tourists and locals alike. In the way of many country people who claim their local service, Patricia Stanmore from outback Ivanhoe regards it as a necessity.
And none of my family or the people in Ivanhoe actually would like to lose the train, because it's the main way of getting out of Ivanhoe, and also for the children when they went to school at Orange. For 14 years they went there. They could get on the Comet and go backwards and forwards without supervision.
The Rogers family, holidaying here from England, had heard so many stories about the Comet they couldn't resist the chance to try it themselves.
The name Silver City Comet was mentioned, and I thought sounded like a rather spiffy sort of name for a country train. On our way out to Broken Hill, it was pointed out to us by a 16-stone local who's intimated that that's the pride of the West there. That's the Silver City Comet. And actually, it looked a rather lovely old train, very nicely appointed. It gave us a chance to see something of Australian railway.
While for Daphne Hedgecock, a tourist from Sydney, the reason was simple.
I chose the Comet because it's daylight and you have the scenery, which you don't have at night.
How would you compare with, say, something like the XPT?
A T-model board to a Rolls Royce.
That's different, huh?
Yeah.
But I suppose she would have been something of the XPT of the 30s, wouldn't she?
Oh, the train of the 30s. The train.
In many ways, the Comet could be an old suburban rail car, lifted out of its normal environment and sent to do penance on a line through outback and pastoral New South Wales. Certainly, the celestial connotations of its name belong to the 1930s. At Orange, the 30s again defers to the 80s, and a train which is meant to be taking Australia into the future of rail travel. It looks the part, but there are no tracks in Australia of a standard that will allow it to get to the design cruising speed of 200 kilometres an hour. Consequently, the fastest the XPT can travel is around 160, and that's not much different to what the Comet was doing 40 to 50 years ago.
A lot of places you cannot use the power that you've got.
What are the frustrations?
I just know, and you should think you should be there a lot quicker than what you can, than what you are. You should be travelling a lot quicker. You just can't use your power.
There's been talk that a series of XPTs would eventually take over the main intercity services on East Coast Australia. So to some, the XPT has been seen as a high-tech ogre waiting to pounce. The opposite is probably true. Its use so far has been like flying Concorde between Melbourne and Brisbane, with stops at Albury, Canberra, Sydney and the Gold Coast on the way. Of course, there was probably just as much hype in 1937 about an air-conditioned wonder train they called the Comet.